We are just about to get into a very special chat with Usman Khawaja, who I think will be one of the two guys opening the batting for Australia. That's TBC, of course, but just want to give a shout out to the people that make this happen, those people that support us, because we are coming in hot this summer. I know it feels like the summer hasn't quite started yet because, Australia hasn't played yet, basically the only country that's not playing cricket at the moment, but hey, that's how the cookie crumbles this summer. But this is our summer and this is your summer, and we're better to follow the cricket than on TGC here. Just want to give a quick shout out here to if you want to come and see us live on our live shows, our live performances. They're such good fun. We're going to be in Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne for 2 shows, although the first Melbourne show is already sold out. But as we are recording this right now, there are only about 25 tickets left for Adelaide. That is Thursday, 28th November. At the Gov with special guest Greg Blewett. Tickets at gradecricketer.com. Hey, if you're in Perth, come along and see us, Marcus Stoinis and Ashton Agar on stage Wednesday, 4th of December. That's at the Astor Theatre. Tickets still available for that. Then we go to Brisbane, 18th of December at the Tivoli Theatre with our special guest Matthew Hayden. Ricky Ponting is selling out. I reckon Ponting might sell out in the Sydney show. That's on 2nd of January, a Thursday, although the day of the week doesn't matter at that time of the year. That's at the Enmore Theatre. That's going to sell out, I reckon, the next few days, Pez. I reckon about maybe a week, maybe a little bit. So if you're thinking about it, I'd be getting in quick because summer is here and Ricky Ponting is also here on stage with us. Not here. That'll be happening in the future, though. Our final show will be our second Melbourne show because the first one with Aaron Finch is already sold out. That'll be on Thursday, 9th of January at Forum Theatre, the iconic Forum Theatre in Melbourne. All tickets at gradecricketer.com. But as we get into our chat with Usman Khawaja, a shout out to the people that make this happen, that support TGC, that make all of these things possible, including these wide-ranging chats that we're about to have with Usman Pezza.
Yeah, here you go. As you said, can you hear the rumble of summer's footsteps? I can. It was a pitter-patter earlier, but I feel like there's a rumble and TJ. Man,
I've got short sleeves on.
We're helping. People are coming in and out of the studio. We've got interviews lined up. Wanted to take a moment, with trepidation to express sincere appreciation for everyone who's supported TGC to this point. This is a point where we've been able to bring compelling interviews with significant people in the game, sold out live shows in 5 countries and counting, the opportunity to present cricket in a style a little different to the established. And to be real, these opportunities are only possible with the people who are paid subscribers to TGC, the people who literally keep us independent, the people who allow us to pursue content choices that please us and please them, the people who, frankly, and we don't get on the high horse about this too often, but frankly allow us to have the strength to turn down gambling advertisements. You will never hear a gambling advertisement on TGC. That is because of patrons, people who sign up, support us independently. They are the lifeblood of this business. They always have been. If you want to support independent media, helping us bring you things like Cummins talking directly to Dave Warner or Tim Payne talking to Ravichandran Ashwin, consider joining us on Patreon, patreon.com/Grade Cricketer. For this week only, we're offering 15% off a yearly subscription, which, as we've pointed out, basically means you're making money. In all seriousness, your help, those people who help us, and I think at the moment it's a couple of thousand people, that enables us to stay independent and bring cricket to you in ways different to the way you'd otherwise get it. Patreon.com/Grade Cricketer. Thank you to everybody who's joined us so far, and we encourage you if you want to back us properly.
And you get 4 hours of content a week exclusive with Ask TGC Fridays. But you might already know that by now. Anyway, so there you go. Live shows selling out real quick, especially in Adelaide, where the last few are just about to go. GradeCricketer.com, patreon.com/Grade Cricketer if you want to get behind the boys as we're heading into summer. All right, shall we talk to Uzi?
Yeah, for 45 to 50 minutes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm keen to start a little old school here. Here goes, TGC old school. I'd like to quickly remind everyone of this guy's numbers at test level. 73 tests, 5,500 runs, 15 tons, 26 50s at 46, highest score of 195 red. That's to go with 14,000 first-class runs, also at 45 with 41 tons. He's a Queenslander now, via Islamabad, and probably most importantly via Sydney grade cricket. He's had one of the most triumphant second acts to his test career in history, and he's inspired many with his love and care and advocacy, including me, in humanitarian matters across the world. And he's dropped in to offer a few more opinions on the makeup of Australia's batting order ahead of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. It's Usman Khawaja on TGC. Welcome, Uzi.
Thanks, mate. Beautiful intro. That's one of the better ones. I appreciate it. Respect.
Now, Uzi, what are you looking for in an opener? What are you looking for?
Actually, I've come across some information which I had no idea about until yesterday. I think, should we be asking Sam? Should we be asking you about opening?
I'm listening.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm happy to offer opinions.
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. Here. I found this out yesterday. Yesterday, genuine. No word of a lie. So one of my best mates is over right now. He's moving to Queensland, so he's kind of in between. He's transitioning. And he was like, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" I was like, "Oh, I'm the great cricketer." He was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. I know Sam." I'm like, "You know Sam?" He's like, I'm like, "How do you know Sam?" He's like, "Oh, I played great cricket with him." I'm like, "Oh, where?" He's like, "North Sydney." And I was like, "Oh, right." I'm like, "Good bloke? Like, good life?" He's like, yeah. Like, he had to lie. So he was like, yeah, good bloke. Great bloke. Anyways, he continues. And I'm like, I feel like there's a story coming here. He's like, yeah. And Dan probably knows. I'll keep going. My best friend's name's Ardil Domingo, played in North Sydney.
Yeah.
He said, "I actually got my first grade 100 because of Sam." I was like, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, I was batting a six. I'm a wicketkeeper. Sam got sick that week. So then I went up to open the batting." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, yeah. And I smacked him. I got 100. I'm like, I remember that because I remember he called me up straight after he got 100. So sorry, you call your best mate up. What happened? You pretend like you care what's happening with your mate, but he actually won't tell me you got 100. He got 100. And then I'm like, "Oh, right. So that must, I didn't really pay attention that time. I was more worried about my own career." I'm like, "Did that kickstart you off a little bit for the next couple of years?" He's like, "No, Sam came back next week and dogged me and put me back at 7. I was like, "No, you can't score 100." And the big dog comes back and like, "Oh, mate, sorry, mate. Big Pens is back. Off you go."
It's ruthless. It's a ruthless world, Uzi.
Gotta say, brother,
So,
I thought that could have been worse.
Is this a made-up story or does this actually happen?
It doesn't matter, man. I think the main point is that, we're all mixed around the same circles as cricketers.
Yeah.
And
we all could have made it.
Yep. I think I've only reminded
There you go.
like
Sorry, I just had to put it out there. I had no idea about this. I was very excited about this information.
Well, if
you
we
go back on your question, back to your question, I have no idea what's going on. I without sounding disrespectful, I'm not really sure if anyone really has an idea, which is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, the fact that there could be 4 people who can open test batting for Australia, or 5 people, 6 people, whatever you want. It means that Australian cricket's a pretty healthy spot. It means there's guys scoring runs. It means you've got abundance of talent and skill that can come in and score runs and do well. I've been involved in the Australian cricket team 15 years ago when the world was about to end and Australian cricket was in the doldrums and, we lost it and all this sort of information was coming out. So it's nice to be at the other end of that and thinking, yes, look, a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of good batsmen to come in and take that spot. So, we do have an abundance. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen.
And if that doesn't work out, Davey's back. So, options.
I think that's what's going on there. It's a classic Warner. It's a classic Warner move, that, isn't it? I don't think so.
One thing about this whole public conversation about the team selections and stuff is that firstly, it's entertainment and it helps promote the series, I think. But want to ask you about cricket teams and politics a little bit because there's tension in cricket around whether something's good for the team or something good for the individual, right? So for example, you gave some thoughts on Smudge batting 4 and leaning towards Heady opening the batting. And you said the number one consideration is what's best for the team. And in response, people pointed out maybe you wanted Heady to open because it helps your game. But in cricket, those two things can work together, right? Team interest and self-interest can coexist. They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they can. That's the role of the captain and the coach. Individuals are always going to want to do, at times, things that are best for self. They're at different stages of their career. I'm at the back end. I don't give it 2 Fs about it. Just let's just try to win cricket games however we can. I don't don't know, how does Heady opening the batting help my career? I really don't know. I really don't understand that. So it's a bizarre one for me. If someone did say that, or people were saying that, it was purely based on we have the best batsman in the world who's been the best at number 4. Marnus was number one for a while there at 3. You had then Green, who's younger, who was in the team back then. Then you had Mitch Marsh, Carey, and Heady, all 3 Cowboys down the bottom of the order. I'm like, let's split the Cowboys up. Let's put one of them up. And I think Heady was probably the best to tune. I think he's a great batsman. That's why I wouldn't say he shouldn't. I wouldn't say he should open if I didn't think he could score runs. You have to be a good batsman to get, as you know, Sam, you have to be a good batsman to bat at the top and score runs. So it was purely based on that. And now that Greeny's gone, I'm all for Heady not opening. I'd prefer Heady to bat in the middle order. But when we had the best 6 batsmen, as we thought at that time, which I agreed with, I think, well, he was the logical choice for me, only because I think Smudge should be batting 4 because he's the best batsman in the team. It's purely based on that. I don't have any agendas anymore. I'm like when I was younger. Now I just want to win some games. I want to beat India. I want to go, win some cricket games.
I mean, you'd be the best position to answer this because, I mean, it has been difficult to bat in Australia the last, 5 years probably. A lot of runs and come from the middle order. You think of what Travis Head done, Mitch Marsh last year, Alex Carey's contributed a lot of runs as well. And in 2023, you faced more balls in tests than South Africa did. So, you really have to grind out time at the crease, right? So it is going to be difficult for whoever does come in because India's bowling attack is good. Bumrah, obviously. Yeah. But it has been difficult with the new ball, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love batting 4 or 5. I feel like it's a lot easier to free flow. You get a spinner on, you can score a few easy runs, you can hit back over 7 for 6, and it gets your innings going. But opening best bowlers against a new ball every single time you go out to bat, it can be a little bit annoying sometimes. It is very satisfying, and you're doing, he's trying to set up a game for a team, and you have the opportunity to score big runs. But I'll be honest, when I first started playing first-class cricket, and I think I'm up to my 16th year now, the wickets were better. 100% the wickets were flatter, easier to bat on. The balls were probably the biggest difference. Those Kookaburra balls, they had a single lacquer on them. Now they have a double lacquer, but the writing just doesn't go off them at all. But they have these new raised seams, which I think is the biggest change in Australian cricket for a long time. That's why wobble seam's so prevalent now. Everyone just wants to bowl wobble seam, not swing him, because if there's massive seams on them, you just put them down. They go boing, 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 boing. That wasn't around back in the day. The old Kookaburra turf seams were so small, didn't get as much nip. You had to try to swing it, and then when it didn't, you had to try to reverse it. And I'm genuine. I'm 100% believe I'm a better player now than I was when I first started playing first-class cricket. But I found first-class cricket at times easier when I started playing than when I do now. The wickets are greener. These new balls are tougher. The game is 100% changed. And I say that to the boys. I'm like, don't worry about the old boys. Don't compare yourself to the old boys. Compare yourself now, because 1,000 runs was the elite level of Shield cricket when I started. It's more like 800 runs now. No one scored 1,000 runs in 10 years. Honestly, I don't think anyone has in 10 years in Shield cricket. The stat right there. The batsmen haven't gotten worse. It's just gotten harder to score runs. And I think the last couple of years, particularly in Australia, it's shown that the ball has dominated the bat. And I'm not against it. As long as we win, who cares? But the ball is definitely dominating bat. We're not scoring big hundreds like we were previous Australian summers before that. That hasn't been the case. I can't remember. We might have scored 100 or 200s last year. Not many scored the year before. So the game has changed a little bit. But you got to respect that and remember, and I always say this to guys, whether we go to India or anywhere else, it is the same conditions for both teams. Whoever's better in those conditions win. Whether it's bowling orientated or batting orientated, if we really believe it's a team game, it's irrelevant. You just have to win. So I think that's the mindset that, myself and particularly a lot of the boys, particularly batsmen, who know it's going to be tough work, take in now. It's it doesn't matter what total, how we score runs, how we get it. We just need to get runs so the bowlers can take wickets and win us the games.
It's such an interesting point, Uzi. I think that's so insightful and something that, probably the general public like us are only just picking up now. It just seems harder to score runs and there are fewer big tons, big hundreds. And when we compare ourselves to the old guys or compare, you guys to the old guys, the batting can seem unders just as a statistic. But you just mentioned there, it doesn't matter how we get them. But at the same time, there seems to be this trend in cricket or an evolution that you actually still do get your runs even more quickly, but in tougher conditions. You know, you seem to be more old school inclined. You know, the tortoise versus the hare. We talked about that with the Ashes last year. Can you give us an insight at the pro level around why we're simultaneously seeing a trend of trying to score faster and move the game along, even if it's harder to bat?
Like, genuinely, you feel like every ball's got your name on it. So whether you felt comfortable batting for 200 balls before, a lot of times guys are like, well, I don't think I can bat for 200 without getting out because the conditions are a lot harder. So I have to try to score the runs quicker in less time. That's all it is. I mean, honestly, I always found like the really good batsmen. When I was growing up, like someone like Phil Hughes used to open, and he used to, the worse the wicket was, the harder he went. Phil Jacobs was similar. And those guys were like, the ball's doing too much now, so I might as well try to, slash at the balls outside off. I'll get a bit of luck going over the top. If I'm just a sitting duck, I'm going to get out. So I might as well try to score runs before I get out. I think, along with T20, obviously he's changed the game. Boys are willing to take more risks, reverse sweeps, all this stuff. When I started playing the reverse sweep in Dubai, it was still taboo. And if I got out doing it, I would have been crucified. But now someone plays a reverse sweep. Cool. So the game is devolving because of T20 cricket. But I think a lot of guys also sense that you're so hard to score. We need to score runs before we get out because I feel like a ball's got our names on it. And I'm going to be honest, to my point earlier, I played on more divotty wickets in the last 5 years than I played in the previous 10 years before that. Wickets never divoted before that. And the only thing that I can think of that has really changed is the new Kookaburra balls, the really high racing. They almost look oval shaped now compared to the beautiful round balls before. And we've seen a few divotty wickets in Test match cricket too. So unfortunately, a really tough one here against Africa a couple of years ago. Ashes, Gabba again, divoted up. There's a lot of wickets that divot up now that never used to divot up when I played first class cricket. It just wasn't a thing. So, yeah, the guys just feel like they have to score quicker because you might get out any ball. I think that's where, along with T20 cricket, that's where the game's sort of evolving.
You saw, you would have seen India's squad announcement. You said on your YouTube channel in 2021 that Shami was the most underrated bowler in the world. So I'm guessing that you're not very upset he's not going to be coming around the wicket to you.
Shami's a good bowler. Yeah, I think it's because everyone's like Bumrah. Yeah. It's you kind of just forget about there's another guy named Mohammad Shami. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Siraj is the same. Honestly, we did. You guys were there. For some reason, I didn't get an interview with you guys. I won't hold it against you. I don't know why, but I'll let that go. The player content capture day. But we had about 50 questions about the Indian cricket team. 25 were for Virat and 25 were for Bumrah. In my head, I'm thinking, respect the game here. This is Test cricket. There's a lot of other good batsmen in that team. There's a lot of other good bowlers in that team. And it's funny, the other guys kind of get washed away. I guess that's what happens when you have someone like a Virat or Bumrah, or Steve Smith, Pat Cummins. You kind of forget about the other guys. Same thing happens with us. You mentioned Pat Cummins. You forget about Hazel. You forget about Stark. You forget about Nathan Lyon. It's the same sort of thing that kind of happens with us too. So, I respect Test cricket. As you guys know, you can never get ahead of yourself in this game. So, yeah, look, I'm surprised. I don't know if he's injured or not, what's going on, but the thing with India is they always seem to just like that, just like us. They'll produce good players. New fellow will come out. He'll be a genius. Seems to have them all.
But like, you guys are pretty good players in the Australian team. I'm happy to call this out. Like, it is a particular phenomenon in Indian sports media that you just get asked about Indian players and how good you think they are. I actually think Star Sports did one with you guys where it was like, what do you think of these players? And you just had to sit there and talk about the opposition. Like, do you guys as a group, do you bristle a little bit just going like, why do we have to talk about the opposition players all the time?
You got to give the people what they want. I think the Indian players. I think it just comes down to that. I do. I'm gonna, in all seriousness, like I do think there's a element of respect. I know Indian cricket and people in India respect Australian cricketers so much in the past, the present. They love Australian cricketers. So to receive a compliment from Australian cricketer is probably the greatest compliment you could probably get for an Indian player, I think, in general. And that's, I'm not saying that we're better than them or anything. It's more like they respect the tradition of Australian cricket. I think it's, you can see the crowds. When we're in India, test matches, there's always big crowds. You see other teams, there's not many people there watching test cricket. So I think there's a lot more respect shown to Australian cricketers in India. Hence why they probably want us to tell them how good they are.
So I've got a question for you that that no one really wants then, but like, do you know much about the backup pacers from the Indian side? Like I'm talking Akash Deep, Harshit Rana, Nitesh Kumar Reddy. Have you done much video work on those guys, or are you going to alpha them now and say, I'll have a look when they get out here?
No.
MS Dhoni.
No, not yet. Not yet. It's the worst thing. I tell you what, it's the worst thing in the world, and I still hate it when you get a new bowler come at you, and it happens in grade cricket all the time. You get a fella that you've never faced before every year. You get a fella that you've never faced before, and you're batting. You're like, I have no idea what he bowls. I have no idea what his action is. I have no idea what he does. And it's harder than Test cricket. I was joking around with one of the keepers in grade cricket this year. I'm like, this is much harder than Test cricket. I have no idea what this guy's going to do. What do I do? And my first ball's always like, he bowls you a full toss and you just block it, and you're like, oh, come on, man. So I'll try to avoid any of those instances against, respect your opposition. I'll try my best against the Indian cricket team and try to learn. But I am more of a free-flying kind of cricketer. I don't watch too much footage unless it's someone I haven't seen before. So hopefully they don't throw a curveball at me and bring their seventh string bowler and put him in the team. If they do, I'm going to go full grade cricket mode. You'll see me first ball just crabbing in my crease, just trying to.
Well, that's basically what happened last time, Aussie, and we lost the series. So,
I didn't play that series. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's true. That's true. Wasn't selected. That's right. Hey, I want to ask you about Cliques in the team. I want to know who's your best friend in the team, Uzi, because, I know you and Davey had a good relationship before, obviously going back way back when. But there's Marnus and Steve. You got the bowlers and Mitch probably. You got Hetty and Cares. Greeny probably just does his own thing, I'm guessing. Who does Uzi hang out with? Who's Uzi's guy in the team now?
I mean, he used to be Bull. Bull's gone now. He's definitely one of them. We played a lot of golf together, me and Davey. The fast bowlers is definitely a clique. Massive clique. They got the Stark, Cummins. It's a funny clique because they got the Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Lyon. And somehow Hetty lurks in there. It's like a token batsman in the clique. Hetty lurks into the fast bowling clique. So he's in there. I'm more of like a chill chameleon kind of guy. Usually it's like, because I'm not on the fast bowling clique, then I have to get stuck with the Marnus and Smudge clique, and that can be quite tough. You can't spend all day every day with them talking about their front trigger or hand position or whatnot's going on with their batting grip. So I kind of just I'm more with the Marnus, Steve Smith, Carey. I'm not sure we call it a clique. It's just the leftovers, I think, from the other clique.
You mentioned you didn't play in the last series. Would I be right in saying that, like a couple of guys in the team, I know this is a case for Pat, but you wouldn't have beaten India in a test series before? I mean, you will have achieved so much in the game, Uzi, but I suspect you're someone who's like, I just want to win the next game of cricket and enjoy the time with my friends and have a higher perspective than that. But, do you think it's important that this team, with everything it's achieved, and you're going to hear the phrase closer to the end than the beginning 1,000 times, is it important that beating India in a test series happens?
I think it's just important for Australian cricket. I mean, we can't seem to beat them over in India, and we normally always beat them in Australia. The last two times they've come out, they've beaten us. I mean, the first time was a little bit of an asterisk. I don't obviously respectfully say that in terms of we didn't have David Warner and Stephen Smith in the team. But last time, I mean, we were clearly beaten. We had, they were back. The Indian team had injuries. They had their B, C side. They still got over Australia, still got over us at that point. So I think for Australian cricket, you want to restore the balance and beat India. And I guess part of you wants to, we're competitive beasts and we want to win series, just like we wanted to win the Ashes. We retained the Ashes, but we still wanted to win it. We didn't get it, so retain it. It's the next best thing. And then same thing with this Indian side. We obviously have to go and beat them this series. We'd like to do it as a team. I think more so because that this might be the last time this team actually plays against India in Australia. together. And so it's a very strong team that we have in Australian cricket right now. It's minus obviously Greeny, where we've been quite the same sort of team for the last 2-ish years at the moment. So I think we owe it in some respects to ourselves, but also Australian cricket and the fans, because, the last thing you want to do is seeing an Indian team come to Australia and win. So I think that's what's great about it. I've got to be honest, though. The last series in India, we had our chances to win, and we didn't take him. That really stung. It did sting, because, I'm not sure if we're going to get that opportunity again for a long time. But the beautiful thing was, even the way that it all played out, I thought the spirit of the last series was played, and was one of the best that I've ever been involved in. And I love that. I love that part of the game. It's like, after everything that happened after 2019, it wasn't just, that we win. It was how we win and how we play. And the spirit the game's being played in, particularly India, the last series, I just had so much fun playing it. Even though we lost, it was, I would have loved to win, but I look back on it with fond memories. And hopefully, I know both teams are going to be very competitive. It's going to be emotionally charged in a lot of respects, but I'm hoping for a really hard-fought, respectful series like we had last time, because I think it's good for the fans. I think it's good for the players. I think that's why we play cricket. I think it's a great look for the game. And, that's probably been one of my favourite things, being a part of the Australian cricket team last 2 or 3 years. It's how we've been playing cricket and the way we've been going about it. I'm very proud to call myself, Australian cricket and be a part of this team for that reason.
Can I ask you about one of your Queensland brethren, Xavier Bartlett? He's come storming into the Aussie setup, especially white ball cricket, of course. I mean, did you come across him when he was playing for Gold Coast, perhaps? I mean, it's strong teeth, it's a strong back, it's big shoulders. There's a lot going on with it, and I like it. I think we need some Queensland heat in it.
I call him Chompers. I think that's the nickname you give him, Chompers.
Oh, Chompers Bartlett.
Strong teeth. Every time he smiles, those chompers come out.
He's exciting though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a terrific young player. He's actually a beautiful bowler. He's in our first team whenever he's fit. He's in. But I think a lot of people don't realise he's actually a terrific batsman too. He's actually a very good batsman. He's got that really. I think he can actually. He's a frontline bowler. You pick him just as your frontline, one of your 3 bowlers. But then when you can have that and the way he bats, the close. He's got first class hundreds under. He will have first class 100 under his belt. I'm positive of that. And then he's a really good kid. He's actually just a really good kid. We take the mickey out of him a little bit, but we do it out of love because he's such a good guy to have around the team. So a lot of positives coming out. I think he's going to be obviously one to watch from Queensland. He's in the T20 squad again for Australia coming up. High hopes for him. He's massive for us in Brisbane Heat. So, it's really cool to see.
You say he's a frontline bowler, Uzi, but is he under Marnus's captaincy? Does
it goes Nessa, Stiketi, Marnus, Bartlett, I think. The man bowled 30 overs the other week.
Oh no, we saw. I mean, you were formerly skipper, and now Marnus is skipper. Can you give any insight into what that transition's been like for you?
I've known Marnus for a long time. Honestly, it's been quite nice. It's in terms of I can go on first slip and just chill. I'm in full chill mode. You're trying to take a few catches, joke around with the lads. Marnus, you do all the tough stuff now. And obviously, he's putting all the weight on his shoulders. He's bowling 30 overs a game, even though we've got other bowlers in the team. So honestly, it's just like playing against Redlands now. It feels like I'm playing against Redlands. When Marnus plays the Redlands, he bowls all the overs, he bats, and then wicket keeps. It feels like exactly the same thing. But it's actually funny. I think he bowled like 20 overs, and this was like his 20. This might have been his 3rd or 4th spell, and I was in first slip. And he bowls the first one. And gets this nick, and it falls like halfway between the keeper. Keeper was up to the stumps, falls halfway to the keeper and me and Marnus, classic Marnus, is like carrying on. He's like, "Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stay so far back." And I'm at first slip, blowing up, and I'm like, I didn't realize you were going to bowl 104 kilometers an hour in your first ball. I think that stung him a little bit because the next one had a little bit of zip on it. So, no, it's been good fun. I've known Marnus for a long time. I get along. He's the guy that you hate to play against and we really love playing with. So Nah, it's cool. Marnus is Marnus. He'll be Marnus. He doesn't need to be anything else. He just needs to be himself.
I saw you played your first game for Valleys in 2 years back in September. How did you go? What lid did you bat in?
I've got a Valleys lid.
Good man.
I've got a Valleys lid.
Good man. Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Let's put this straight. Last year I didn't play for Valleys. That was the first year I didn't play for Valleys since I've been in Queensland. I played every single year while I've been in Queensland for Valleys. I genuinely like playing grade cricket. I liked it when I was playing in Randwick because I was like, Coogee Oval.
Yeah.
My favourite ground in the world. What a place. But more so, I genuinely enjoy it because of the people. I still get to play with guys like Maxi Bryan, Mark Stichetti's in our team, Cameron Boyce, former Queensland player, played strikers in the team. We got young players, Vidler and Hugh Weebkin. Hugh Weebkin is going to be a terrific young player, I reckon, for us in Queensland. He's one to watch. He was captaining us in T20 cricket this year that I played in. We've got some really good blokes that are involved around the team, and I actually genuinely enjoy going out and playing, not having any cameras around, not having any of the other crap, just going out and playing cricket and, trying to big dog the other guys if you can, but it doesn't always work out that way, as you know, in grade cricket. Cricket's a great leveler of life, and it's what I still love about grade cricket. I can still try my best to score runs, and I don't always do. So I did have a crack this year. I scored a few runs, boys. I did all right.
You scored 100 off 106.
Yeah. I honestly, when I first came to grade cricket in Queensland, I could not score a run. Partly because I think the wickets when I left Sydney were still pretty decent. We got some good wickets. Coogee Oval was beautiful. Manly, University of New South Wales, all these grounds. North Sydney was a belter. Wow. Oh, Sam, you should have scored 100 there every week. What a place. It's like, they had some really good grade cricket wickets, but when I came to Queensland, the wickets here are dicey. They're slow, they're nibbly, they're just a bit softer. And my first year, I did not score a run for Valleys, and everyone at Valleys was like, why have you recruited this guy? 4 runs every game. He sucks. And so I think when I got a bit older, I started to be like, all right, let's play grade cricket the way it should be. Don't play it like you're playing first-class cricket. Play grade cricket like grade cricket should be played and try to score runs for your team and respect the game, because if you score runs in grade cricket, hopefully that will funnel into Shield cricket, funnel into whatever you're playing else. I'm a big man of the process. So even though I play grade cricket now, I take pride in my grade cricket and try to score runs in it. And thankfully, last 4 or 5 years I played grade cricket, I scored a lot of runs in it. And I do that because I respect the game. The game can come back and bite you in the backside real quick. So, I like to play, I like to give back, and I still enjoy it. Very genuine. I genuinely enjoy it.
Well, that's a really inspiring set of comments you've made about grade cricket, Uzi, but I noticed that when you describe, a big list of names of players that you know at Valleys, every single one of them is a state player or has been. So can you name anybody in the Valleys setup?
We can keep it. Dylan McLaughlin. Actually, he was also playing Queensland. There's always a couple of new guys in grade cricket that come every year. You have no idea who they are. I can't remember their names. That's always the toughest bit. I've got to be honest. That's always the toughest bit.
No, that's really cool. Hey, Uzi, this is a different steer on what we've been talking about, but I really wanted to pick it up with you because a lot of us have watched the commentary and the advocacy you've provided on humanitarian issues, particularly happening in Gaza right now. This is comfortably a question that's far more important than matters of the construction of Australia's top 6. You've been such a great advocate for the human rights of people, especially children suffering at the hands of what Senator David Pocock recently described as a humanitarian apocalypse in Gaza. You shared that post with some impassioned and salient remarks underneath. My question to you, particularly considering people who listen to the grade cricket are from around the world, is, what do you think Australia and we as individuals, can do better in relation to this issue?
That's a good question. I guess I'll answer the question I get asked most, and I'll answer it. People always want to ask me, and they always say, Uzi, why this topic? Why this conflict? There's so much happening all around the world. Why this? Why not, what's happening in Sudan or Africa? And there's stuff happening all over, China. There's Ukraine, all this stuff happening everywhere. Number one, first and foremost, as I said last year in summer, I'm just speaking up for those who I think don't have a voice. That's the crux of it. I feel like the media is heavily skewed one direction. It's not very impartial. But the second part is probably even more important for me, and it's, well, we have a direct link. We have a direct link with these people, and people don't understand that because we have a direct link to Israel, and we're allies with the US, one of our strongest allies. And in that, we're also allied with Israel, just like we are allied with England, just like everyone's allied in together. So when people say that, why this conflict and not else, it's like, because we are government, us as a people, our tax dollars are actually affecting what goes on around the world. Aid through military, all these people don't see it, people don't want to know about it, but it is happening. And when we as a nation give our tax dollars to the government, and then the government provides goods to the Israeli government or the Israeli army, and on the back of that, the humanitarian issues, because this is not a political, this is not a religious issue, it's 100% humanitarian issue for me and for people around the world, and it hasn't changed. People deserve, actually, it's not a privilege, it's a human right to have food and water and humanitarian aid to any part of the world. And that's been deprived of the people of Gaza for a long time. And people want to sugarcoat or walk around it. When that's happening, is the definition of war. You have to give innocent people the ability to have food, water, shelter at any given point. And so for me, it's like, okay, if we're actually giving our tax dollars to the government, and then the government in some respect is providing this, we're a part of this, we're a part of the process. That is why I speak up for it, because we are linked to it, whether directly or not. But put it this way, I'll give you an example. If my next door neighbor goes out every Sunday and robs the bank, and I know he uses his car to rob the bank, and he says to me, Uzi, it's Saturday today, my tires are punctured, I need your tires to put on my car, I need it tomorrow, I need to do some stuff. I know what he's going to do, right? I have a choice there. I have a choice of giving him my tires to rob the bank and do something that's criminal, or not give it, right? And for me, it's an easy decision. Sorry, mate, I'm not giving you my tires. I think that's as simple of an analogy as I can put it. Where our money goes is very important, and we need to have restraints and tough conversations about that and understand what's happening. And the government itself, I think, need to have those conversations and understand that, well, the thing I put up yesterday was purely on David Peacock and what he said about putting sanctions on Israel and where our funding goes. And this has nothing to do, for me, it's not got anything to do with the people. I've got some beautiful friends that are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Sikh, atheist. Our captain, Pat Cummins, is one of the great atheists, and I get along with him with like a house on fire. I respect everyone. I challenge anyone to come up to me and tell me that I've treated them differently for what they believe in, or the people, or the person they actually are. I would never ever do anything like that. And the same thing applies here. But nothing to do with any of that. It's got everything to do with the humanitarian basis, and it's got everything to do with what we can do as a nation and how we're affecting what's going around in the world. Well, we want to live in our Australian bubble. I get it. What's happening in Australia is number one and the most important. But I think people need to realize through globalization in the last 20 years, the world is connected, and everyone's connected one way or another. So when I see this happening somewhere overseas, I feel like we have a power to actually change that and help those people and children out there. Because I see my 2-year-old daughter walking around who has absolutely no choice in life. She can walk out on the road and get smacked by a car, and she will have no idea what's going on. I'm her caregiver. I'm the one who's trying to protect her. There's plenty of parents out there in Gaza right now trying to protect their kids, but they cannot. They're innocent. They don't have a political view. They don't have a religious view. They don't have any views. They're just innocent people just walking around trying to live life. So I guess it kind of hits home for me a little harder too, having young kids now and seeing what's happening overseas. So it's a long answer. I apologize for the long answer, but it's not an easy one to give in a short period of time. That's why I'm so passionate about what's going on over there, because I do believe we have a direct connection to what's happening over there. And I feel like if we stand for what's going over there, then we stand for that. And I don't particularly stand for that. We're standing that from there. We're standing that for everywhere around the world. And if history's taught us anything, it's one thing, is that everyone is equal. No one's better than anyone else, and everyone deserves the exact same rights and privileges as everyone else.
You must have found, obviously,
Here, brother, by the way.
Yeah,
I say here.
yeah. Last year there was obviously the issue with the ICC, with you wanting to, there was marks on your shoes and that kind of thing, and then the ICC, you weren't allowed to have any sort of political statement, even though, as you've just said, that wasn't a political issue for you, it's just a humanitarian issue. Has that been solved at all this summer? Would you be, trying to do the same thing?
I still like to raise awareness for it, if I'm being totally honest. It's still happening. I'm shocked that it's been a whole year, and there's been over 50,000 people killed over there. Way over 20,000 children. I don't think it's right for me. I still feel like there's more to life than cricket. I've been very blessed. I was out of the Australian cricket team, and for some reason I got an opportunity to play for Australian cricket again. And I do have a platform, and people want to see me just as a cricketer, but I'm not. I'm a human being. I'm a father. I'm a citizen in Australia, and just like everyone else, just like any other politician, anyone else. So a part of me wants to figure out ways where I can raise awareness, and not even that, try to actually genuinely help the people that are suffering over there and around the world. It's not just do that. My foundation, the Usman Khawaja Foundation, which we're doing, some stuff through the Gaza Test match this year. We're trying to look to partner with UNICEF to help kids abroad. We're already helping, kids and families in Australia, which I think is very important, particularly with the cost of living and everything that's going on right now in our home. But the world is so big. We've traveled so far. I've seen the best and the worst of the world. Whether it's drive through a country, you see the shanties that some of the people are living in. It just breaks your heart, and you realize that, geez, we are so lucky in Australia. We are so lucky. You want to complain about the most minute things, but yeah, when I say that, I feel like I still want to advocate on a humanitarian basis about what's happening over there. And I feel like I have an obligation to do it. How I do it, I don't really know, because as we learned anything last year, the ICC can be a bit finicky about how they employ some of their whatever we call it, some of their laws or whatnot. I don't want to. At the end of the day, me playing cricket for Australia is still, when I'm playing cricket, it's the most important thing. I always respect that I don't want to take anything away from my teammates. I don't want to put anything on them, and I don't want to take away from us winning cricket games. So it's a tough one to battle when you're actually in a team sport, but I'll try my best.
That's cool, brother, and really well said. Well, I've got a complaint as an Australian, actually. I'm right in at the level that you're talking about. Completely silly. I think everyone's actually missed why you went public with your preference for Travis Head at the top of the order, and it must have been to distract, because around the same time we awoke to headlines screaming Usman Khawaja and his wife Rachel are about to become television rivals. As an Australian, I need an explanation about this. I mean, is this about the Khawajas starting an empire and covering both sides? I mean, famously, Fox and Seven, very friendly with each other through the cricket season, from personal experience. How'd you guys come to this decision? Or hopefully Rachel just didn't speak to you about it at all and said, "Cop that."
Yeah, what are we coming up with? Keeping up with the Kawajis? Sounds pretty good to me. I like it. Why not? Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, she is. She's going. I'll just call the dark side. I do stuff with Fox. I'll just call her the dark side. I'll give her a Darth Vader helmet and let her walk around the house with it. Whatever we need to do. I honestly.
Mate, this is harder for you to speak about than Israel-Palestine.
Like, this is harder to speak about than that stuff. This is weird. Honestly, no, genuine. I said to her, this is your life, Rach. You, do where you think the best opportunity is, where you are. Fox are cool. Seven are cool. We joke around about them. everyone's just about there trying to get like the best exposure for the game. And I said to Rach, I said, if it helps grow the game, Rach, do what you need to. If you enjoy doing it, love, happy wife, happy life, do it. I'll support you 100%. I think she'll be great. Do a few color pieces. Maybe I have to teach her a few words in Hindi just to get her across the line in the India series. I don't know.
Yeah, smart,
Yeah, I think she'll be. I think she'll be great at it. I think she's actually on camera. It's amazing how natural she is, even when she does MC events and gigs around that I've seen her do. She's always very natural. I think she'll be great at it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's not like she's out there doing commentary like, yeah, Uzi shouldn't have played that one outside off. I don't know what he's doing now. None of that said. No. That don't fly with Khawaja.
hey, Uzi, Matt Wade announced his retirement yesterday, maybe. You wouldn't have played that much with Wade, especially in recent years. I know you have played with him before, but not that much. I mean, he played 36 tests, 97 ODIs, 92 T20s. I mean, that's a serious cricket career for any Australian player. But we'll always remember him for Nice Gary, won't we?
Yeah, 100%. And people forget where it came from, right? It's either Nice Gary or pushing blokes that T20 match in Perth just palmed him off. It's the greatest palm off I've seen on a cricket field. He just came kaboom. So it's one or the other. No, Wadey was honestly when he was younger, he was fiery. Me and him had plenty of run-ins when we were younger, and then luckily he mellowed out with age as he got older, moved to Tassie, family, but he'd always been a terrific cricketer, always scored runs. He'd always scored runs when the team really needed him too, back in Victoria when he was in Victoria or in Tassie. I think that's why a lot of guys around cricket respected him a lot. He actually put his hand up when the chips were down, and you always knew that with Wadey, he was in for a fight. If I could avoid trying to start Wadey, I would 100% avoid it. But he'd always have a go at me, so I'd always chip back at him, especially when we were younger. But I always respected him as a cricketer, and he's got a beautiful family. Jules' wife is great, close mates. With Rach gets along with her really well too. He's got a lot of good things to look after cricket, and I think he's got a great career that he can look back on. He's played Test cricket in all three formats. Only a few select people get to ever do that, so I think he's got a lot to show for it. But it's congrats to Matthew Wade, and I'm sure he's very, very content and happy with particularly his career for Australia.
Usman Khawaja, you've been so generous with your time, mate. We know you've got to go. You've got to start getting ready for a Shield game against the Blues on what I'm sure is another flat deck with the right correct cricket ball and stuff. So under Marnus. So Uzi, we really, really appreciate your time. Thanks for the wide-ranging chat and for your insights. And wishing you all the best for the summer and beyond.
Thanks, boys. Marnus is playing. He's in the one-day squad. We got Mitchell Scott as captain.
Okay.
Someone else has got to field straight hit.
I might get a ball. Maybe I'll help finish my I did get Kumar singing Curry out of Chairman's 11 game. I'm just saying, boys. He averaged 58 in Test cricket. Not that I know.
Yeah.